Good day. It's JJ MMA. Today, we're going to be going over some big fight announcements that have been circulating around in the MMA world. Dricus du Plessis recently announced that his matchup will be made official within the next week. Kamaru Usman hints on his Instagram story, second wind incoming. So this fight is heavily rumored. Both guys have been rumored in the past to fight each other. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big fight if it happens, as well as the co-main event of UFC 330 being announced. Very credible source, Full Violence. So that's interesting. We'll talk about this one. We'll break it down in a second, as well as Colby Covington retiring from the UFC. And I know I'm late. I'm 2 days late on this one, but I'm sorry guys. We had some stuff to get done. And also we have Bryce Mitchell. Wait, hold on. I don't think you guys can see the whole thing. Bryce, what exactly does Bryce Mitchell feed his chicken? Interesting stuff. But yeah, we'll go over this all in the same video. We're gonna start off with Dricus du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman is officially signed. I don't know if that's correct. I don't know if the source is the best. However, Dricus du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman is officially signed for UFC Fight Night on July 18th. Will be announced by the UFC next week. I was thinking more Abu Dhabi. You know, even though Usman lives in the U.S., you know, he represents Nigeria. Then you have DDP, who trains out of South Africa. So I was thinking, you know, why not put this in the Abu Dhabi Fight Night as the main event? Because, you know, that's close to Africa. This is Africa versus Africa. Possibly, you know, marketing to the African market in MMA. You know, there's not much of it. And, you know, when Francis Ngannou went over to PFL and the PFL was like, oh, you're going to help us grow our market in Africa, right? And then he was like, yeah, I'm going to help you guys do that. And then, and then he had one fight and then he didn't fight for 2 years. He just, legendary snatch money grab from Francis Ngannou, from the PFL. And it's kind of funny how he scammed him. But yeah, I mean, PFL is never going to compete with the UFC or anything anyways, no matter what talent they sign. I mean, if they sign a bunch of crazy UFC talent, then yeah, they could have competed, but they're nowhere near the promotional level. They're nowhere near, you know, obviously, I'm not even going to keep talking about the PFL. Anyways, Dricus du Plessis versus Kamaru Usman. This is looking heavily likely because Dricus recently announced that he was going to have his next fight announced within the next week. He said on his Instagram, well, it's been a long time and it's time for me to get my fight announced. So that's what Dricus said. And then Usman also said, here, I'll go into his Instagram, or not his Instagram, his Twitter. He tweets out second wind incoming. And so the second wind, I'm guessing, is not a welterweight title shot, unless out of nowhere they announced the main event of 330 to be Makhachev versus Usman, which is obviously very completely undeserved for Kamaru Usman. You know, he beat Joaquin Buckley, and Brady also did that, and look who beat Brady, Michael Morales. I know MMA math is weird, and it's not something, you know, to be basing your MMA knowledge off of, for sure, considering, you know, the fight triangle between Hamzat, DDP, Strickland. Styles make fights. But anyways, I'm going to get off that topic. We're going to go back to breaking down this fight and what overall this fight means. This is a sick fight, and this is a really strong fight night main event. You know, this is probably one of the strongest, most meaningful fight night main events that we've seen in a while. Has potential to be a snooze fest, as does, you know, a lot of these big fights nowadays. But, you know, the UFC's back, and there's something in the air where I don't think this will be a snooze fest. I think this is probably, to be honest, I think that this is going to be a classic DDP Looney Tunes performance where he's going to, you know, he's going to take out the flying piano, he's going to take out the slingshot, all the tricks in the book. You know, he might jump and then throw a body kick, might throw some flying teeps that are super slow and telegraphed, but he might land them, you know, you never know. He's going to blitz forward. He's going to have the goofy style high guard. Usman's knees are going to be locking out. DDP might pull out the comically large hammer and slam it on Usman's knees and win the fight. But anyways, on a real note, I think Dricus wins this. I think his style is too goofy. I think that you know, he has pretty decent takedown defense that shouldn't be defined by a fight with Hamzat Chimaev. You know, obviously Strickland has much better takedown defense than Dricus, and he's able to wrestle up better than Dricus. So I am worried about Dricus I'm worried about his ability to like wrestle up in this fight and his ability to get out of bottom position, because there will be moments in this fight where Kamaru Usman does take him down. I think Kamaru Usman will take him down a few times in this fight. He just has too good of wrestling to not take down a guy like Dricus. You know, like Dricus doesn't have that lighter man's ability and, you know, the scrambling and the offensive and defensive wrestling of Colby Covington, not offensive, because as far as I remember, I don't think Colby took down Usman once in either fight. I don't know. I'm gonna have to be fact checked on that, because the last time I watched both fights was like 4 years ago. But anyways, yeah, I think Usman will be able to take him down. I don't think Usman stands in any chance with Dricus on the feet, though. If Usman decides to, you know, stupidly stand with Dricus and not immediately shoot for a takedown like he did against Joaquin Buckley, then Dricus is just going to school him on the feet. And it's because, you know, like you look at Kamaru Usman in his fight with Joaquin Buckley, when he was on the feet with Joaquin Buckley was winning the exchanges. Like, I mean, actually, no, not really. In the earlier rounds, Usman was, you know, just staying technical, hitting him with his jab. Usman's jab's really good. You know, Usman was hitting him with the jab, keeping him at bay, and then shooting the takedown immediately. And then he was able to gather Joaquin Buckley's legs and dominate him on the ground. And Joaquin Buckley hasn't improved in the grappling ever since. And I know that he's gotten 2 nightmare matchup grapplers in a row, which are Sean Brady and Kamaru Usman. And he should be defined as a fighter based off of those performances. However, you know, Usman in round 5 was getting very clearly outstruck by Joaquin Buckley, and I think Joaquin Buckley took round 5 off of Usman. Yeah, Joaquin Buckley was absolutely dominating Kamaru Usman on the feet in round 5. And, you know, Kamaru Usman, not like he doesn't have good cardio either. It was just like Joaquin Buckley, who's got that goofier style, wings overhands, walks forward. And I know he's a much different style of fighter than Dricus, but he does kind of have that goofy element to him. So that was looking like in the later rounds on the feet, that started to become Kamaru Usman's kryptonite, where, you know, it's just the wild, goofy styles. And I feel like that can give Kamaru Usman trouble. However, the thing about the wild, goofy styles is they open up this area where you can't miss a beat on your ability to defend a takedown. And Dricus is going to make mistakes in his ability to defend. As I just mentioned in my most recent video on the channel about the best strikers in the UFC, go check it out. I had Dricus on the list. And, you know, I mentioned that he is not very defensively responsible because of how crazy his style is. You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys who are goofier, like Dricus, like Yuri, they leave openings, you know, to be taken down. They leave openings to be double-legged by a really good grappler. They leave openings to be chinned if you can hit him on the right spot and time him super well. And Kamaru Usman's not a master with timing and the striking. And trust me, he's very washed up on the feet and the striking. I mean, he's 40 years of age, yeah, and I mean, at the same time, he's showing his age with the, you know, how down his striking is going. Man, I can't word things today. But yeah, Kamaru Usman's striking is going down in skill. And I don't think he'll be able to stand with Dricus on the feet until he's able to time a takedown. And I think that he's going to maybe catch Dricus jumping and catch him or something. It's going to be that goofy type of fight. And it's going to be less... It's going to be less concrete than Dricus versus Hamzat, where Hamzat just takes him down. It's not going to be easy for Kamaru Usman to get takedowns. He's going to have to wait for the right time and time something. But I see Dricus getting this one done. I don't know. I feel like I see Dricus chinning Usman, man. I can see Dricus chinning Usman in like round 4. In like round 4, round 5. I can see Dricus chinning Usman. This hasn't been made official yet, obviously, but you know, this looks like it's gonna happen. Looks like it's gonna be made official. I'm hyped for this fight. This is one of the best summers we've had in UFC main events in a while. You know, we've got Cop Horiguchi at the Apex, really strong main event at the Apex, really solid Apex main event to start out the summer. I know I just listed 2 Apex events in a row, but really solid, and I'm going in kind of backwards order, really solid Apex event to start out the summer, headlined by Bilal, not great, but the undercard, you look at the undercard, and we'll go over it once the fight week gets closer, because that's in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. We'll discuss it. But that's open out the summer. We obviously got the White House, one of the biggest events in UFC history. Headlined by Ilia Topuria. Justin Gaethje's facing him, you know, in the co-main event. Alex Pereira co-main event. I mean, come on. And then we got Cyril Gane facing him. great matchups. Sean O'Malley is the featured main event bout. I mean, come on. Kid. What's the question, kid? Oh, I'm putting together 6 fights. I mean, come on. We gotta wait till Tuesday, kid. We don't even have to wait until Tuesday, man. And I know Dana's not in charge of anything, and Dana should not be getting any credit for this at all. But then we got the Azerbaijan main event. Fiziev Torres, gonna be a banger, solid undercard. And then we got the return of the Mac, return of Conor McGregor. We got this UFC 330 and an Abu Dhabi fight night along with it. It's gonna be a sick summer, man. I'm hyped for it. I'm so hyped for it, man. Dude, it's gonna be sick, man. Anyways, we're gonna move on from this. I think Dricus wins round 4 TKO. That's my early prediction. Actually, round 1 out cold KO. I think he sleeps Usman. Usman's not the best with the chin anymore. Yeah, we move on. And man, I mean, come on. Where is Zhang Weili? That's my first question. Where is Zhang Weili? These two ladies, all respect to them, but they're both very boring and very tough to watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to watch Mackenzie Dern co-main event versus Gillian Robertson, the female Bilal with red hair from Canada. But I would rather watch. I'm sorry, I'm just being objective. And anybody who disagrees with this is an absolute idiot, absolutely smooth brain. I would rather watch Jan versus Merab 3. I mean, what are we doing? Why hasn't that matchup been made? I know Merab has issues with his nose. I know Petr Yan had his back surgery in January. But, I'm thinking that they're going to save that for, I think they're going to have a pay-per-view late August or early September, something like that. I think that they're going to save that for then. And I think the pay-per-view is either going to be in like France. They've been talking about doing a French pay-per-view, or Abu Dhabi, something like that. Or maybe they do their little UFC Noche thing and put the main event as some Mexican event. I don't know what they're gonna do. However, the main thing that needs to be mentioned is, where is Zhang Weili? What is happening with Zhang Weili? Because Zhang Weili should be the clear-cut #1 contender in facing Mackenzie Dern for the title, because she just vacated her title to go up to women's flyweight to challenge Shevchenko. She lost in November, obviously, got blobbed in the co-main event to Makhachev. JDM, another boring blob fest. But yeah, I don't know why Gillian Robertson's fighting for the title. She's like the #5 contender. Yeah, interesting matchmaking. I wonder if Zhang Weili is going to stay at women's flyweight or something. That would be interesting. I think that could be a move for her, because maybe she went up in weight and she don't want to cut the weight anymore, but she would be a very, very small women's flyweight. So I'd be, I don't know. I think that would be probably a bad move for her career, because I think, wipes the floor with everybody else at women's strawweight. But I mean, at the same time, there's interesting matchups for at women's flyweight. I think that she beats probably every other striker in the women's flyweight division, like Grasso. And I know Grasso is not a striker. She's got good jiu-jitsu and stuff. But, Grasso's not an offensive wrestler. Like, someone like that, Zhang Weili can beat up on. But regardless, I don't know why this is the co-main event to UFC 330. Yeah, interesting stuff. I mean, at least do Jan Merab 3. At least maybe throw in, dude, an Arman versus Oliveira co-main event. Woo! Arman versus Oliveira co-main event. Arman versus Oliveira 2. Co-main event to Makhachev and Gary in Philly. That would be sick, man. Not Mackenzie Dern versus Gillian Robertson. What are we doing? I mean, look at the comments. Congrats, Gillian. She deserves the shot. No, she doesn't. Zhang Weili deserves it. She was literally the title holder before Mackenzie Dern walked in and picked up the Mickey Mouse belt. But regardless, I'm not going to get too animated about this. Yeah, that's what I think about this being the co-main event of UFC 330. We move on to the retirement of Colby Covington. Regardless of what you think about him, a legend. He is a legend, and I know he wasn't that good. He was good. He was a good fighter. He was a very good fighter in his prime. However, he doesn't stack up anywhere in my GOAT list. Like, he's not. I don't think he's top 50. Hold on, now he could be top 50 all time. Depends on what you think about the legitimacy of Leon Edwards. His interim title win. Like, what do you think about that? What's the legitimacy of that? How do you think he performed in the Usman fights? Like, there's a lot of variables that go into it. It's not all black and white. However, Colby Covington has left a great legacy behind. very entertaining fighter. A good with his business for the UFC. He discussed on a podcast almost being cut at one point because he had a boring style, because he was such a good wrestler that he was blobbing everyone. He was laying on top of guys. Honestly, a boring fighter sometimes. Colby Covington was a boring fighter sometimes. And then he went in Brazil after, I think it was the Damian Maia. It was Damian Maia, right? I'm not going to look it up. I'm not going to waste that much time. But in Brazil, after he beat, I think, Damian Maia, he went on the mic and said, "Brazil, you guys are all some dirty fuckers." And then had to cut a crazy promo. I don't remember the whole thing, but Colby Covington, he's a legend. Great on the mic, promoted himself super well. Had the shtick before, he was the guy with the shtick after McGregor. Like when McGregor wasn't actively fighting in the UFC, this guy kind of took on that role of the shtick, and he pushed himself. He was, obviously he wasn't no star like McGregor, and this guy obviously was a much more boring fighter than McGregor. McGregor has never had a boring fight. McGregor's never had a boring fight. Not even his first fight with Max Holloway. McGregor's never had a boring fight. This guy was kind of a boring fighter. However, he's left behind a legacy. He became an entertaining fighter after his first fight with Kamaru Usman. The two fights that he had with Usman, he both fought like a dog in those fights. Got finished in the first one. But those are both some of my favorite fights of all time. Both of them were nonstop action. Both were wars. Colby left behind a great legacy. I didn't think, like, after he didn't get on the White House card and after he didn't get a fight with Bo Nickel, I was like, who is Colby going to fight? You know what I'm saying? And then they removed him from the rankings. They put Amasov in there, well-deserved. And hopefully retirement does Colby Covington well. And good fighter. Not rest in peace. What am I talking about? Happy retirement, Colby. Anyways, we move on. Bryce Mitchell, those are the only words you need to say. And it's automatic entertainment when you hear that name, Bryce Mitchell. He's going to give you the CTE masterclass. He's had so many CTE moments, and he's one of the funniest MMA fighters. And let's hear what he has to say, one of the funniest characters in the UFC without even trying. It's just his brain. He's like a bantamweight Tito Ortiz, except a little bit different and funkier in his own ways. But anyways, let's hear what the Bryce has to say, and let's see what he has to feed his chicken, even though it's kind of a spoiler right here. But anyways, let's listen to him.
I really hope Dana don't get mad at me. I'm going to show y'all what I've been feeding my birds. First off, I've got about 75 eggs here in this pan.
It's funny because I'm pretty sure, like, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure chickens only eat grass. Like, I'm pretty sure chickens only eat, like, grass, plants, and vegetables. I don't think chickens, like, peck on meat or anything. Pause. But I don't think chickens are supposed to eat eggs, Bryce. Hate to break it to you, man. I don't think, and especially with the shells, and I don't know what he's thinking with all these, damn Bryce, with all these cracked shells. This is interesting, man.
Pot, actually. I'm going to scramble them eggs up, and then I'm putting in some of these right here. Those UFC meals. This one's the scrambled eggs with taters.
Scrambled eggs with taters.
I'll put this right in there. And then I stir it around. And that'll be cooked up. And I'll show y'all how I feed it to the birds.
All right, that's basically it. He's just feeding his chickens chicken. It's interesting. One of the most CTE things I've seen Bryce do, even though there's been a lot of CTE moments. I know some of you guys in the comments might say, remember when he drilled into his nutsack? He didn't actually drill into his nutsack. It's just something Dana said because he was trying to make him sound like such an idiot for saying what he said. If you know, you know. What Bryce Mitchell said earlier in 2025, Dana White ripped him after a power slap event at a press conference for saying it because he's trying to make, good comms in the business world. And, he has to work with the type of people that Bryce Mitchell was attacking. So anyways, you want to look into it more. I'm not going to explain it. We're trying to stay neutral here. You know what I'm saying? We're a neutral channel. Remember, I'm playing a character, guys. And we move on to something that I forgot to mention at the start of the video. I forgot to mention that this was going to be a topic at the start of the video. Oh my gosh. Nate Diaz, hold on, guys. Oh, okay, I'm not trying to go full screen with it. But Nate Diaz reportedly pooped his pants during his fight with Nate Diaz. Old man Nate Diaz. Oh my gosh. I mean, just look at there's like skid marks on the stool, man. Like I don't know if this is 100% true. Maybe that's something else, but I doubt that. Like how, like, number one, how would it be just leaking through his shorts? I didn't see him on the stool between rounds reaching into his pants and cleaning it out with his hand. Oh my god, I can't even talk about it, guys. And I mean, it's like you see right here, they say in the comments it's blood. You guys be the judge of this one. Does this look like blood on the stool? Does this look like blood on the stool? It don't, because it don't look like puddles to me. Like, it don't look like actual blood on the stool. Could that just be blood on the stool? You see, right? Oh no, my webcam's blocking it. Never mind. It's okay. There was something to the side that said it could be blood on the stool as well. But yeah, let's take a look at the body shot. Like, they're saying it's from this body shot right here. And Nate's always kind of been chinny to the body also. Like, you look at his torso structure, you know, he's always kind of been chinny to the body. He's been hurt to the body a lot of times before. And he got hit with a big right hand from Mike Perry to the body there, and he's been out of the MMA game for 4 years now. And he's 41 years old, and he's taken a lot of damage over his career. But man, man, I'm such a Nate Diaz fan, bro. I'm such a big Nate Diaz fan. It's absolutely sick fighter. Never had a boring fight. There's been some fights where he's kind of just walked around the octagon in, but it's still, you know, it's still entertaining in some way, shape, or form. However, man, if this is true, and he shat himself on the stool, you know, and he's just like reaching in his pants and pulling up. No way. No way this is true. No way this is true. I think it's blood. For my sanity as a Nate Diaz fan, I think it's blood. If it isn't, man. If this is actually true, if the rumors are true, if Nate Diaz has shat himself on the stool, oh my gosh, that's absolutely horrible. Just imagine it. Hold up. I gotta get the shit out of my butt. Wait, that's not, hold on. No, that's not a good Nate Diaz impression. I sounded kind of soy there, but anyways, yeah, that's Nate Diaz pooping on the stool. Just a normal day in the MMA world, man. You don't get this in any other sport. This is why we love MMA. New news every day, even though it was kind of just like this week we got some nice fight announcements. Then you get Colby retiring, big character in the sport. Then you get, it's like the diversity of MMA news is what I love about it. Bryce Mitchell trying to make his chickens cannibals. And then you got Nate Diaz shitting himself on the stool. You can't make this up. But yeah, I mean, that's my MMA news recap for the day, for the week. And yeah, we may or may not be going live this week. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys want me to do on live stream if I go live this week. We might do a Usyk fight companion. I don't know. I don't know much about the other, you know, boxing undercard fights. I don't pay attention to boxing that much except for the big fights. We could react to Usyk on live, or we could do anything else. Just let me know. We could even react to Brandon. We could do the Manziel versus whatever the other guy is, Manziel versus Menery. We could react to that on live. We can do anything on live. Just let me know. Give me some ideas in the comments down below. Give me some ideas for other videos. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Follow me on Instagram at the JJMMA official. Follow me on Twitter at the JJMMA. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.